Good morning, folks, and welcome to our Sunday service at Springfield Community Chapel. Happy Mother's Day to all you moms, and probably be a little different, not visiting so much on this Mom's Day, but I'm sure we can make contact, and we got great electronic systems now that we can visit without even really being there. So we just pray that you'll have a great day with celebrating your moms and in remembrance as well. And so our message today will be basically out of Proverbs 31, the virtuous woman. And so we'd like to share that with you. And so let's open up with a word of prayer, and we'll get our message started. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we again thank you and praise you for the awesome God you are. And Lord, we just thank you for you just being with us through this time. Lord, it seems to be business is unusual. And Lord, we know stipulations are being lifted. And Lord, which means it's good for us. We'll be able to get back to maybe serving you, coming to church, but with stipulations as well. And Lord, so we just thank you for your guidance there. And Lord, we just pray as we look into your word this morning that it would just encourage us and help us to be thankful for the moms you've given us and for the wives you've given us. And Lord, that we could just work as that well-oiled machine as you want for us. You're the bridegroom and we're the bride. And Lord, we just thank you for that analogy as well. So we just ask your Holy Spirit to work mightily, and through your precious name we pray. Amen. Alrighty, we're gonna kind of go through this verse by verse, and dissect it a little bit. I know it seems to be a great passage for Mother's Day, and you probably all heard it many a times, but this is from not a trained professional. So we'll just let the Holy Spirit work, and we'll go there. So verse 1, the words of King Lemuel, the utterance which his mother taught him. And verse 1, it's that utterance his mother taught him. Utterance is, it's almost like prophecy, that the Lord had brought to her. It comes from authority, and the affection of a parent, so, and then verse 2, what my son, and what son of my womb, and what son of my vows. So again, this is she's saying, this comes from a authority figure, from her mom, and to her, this is being the king. And the son of her vows is his mom's, she vowed her son is to the Lord for righteousness and holiness. That's what she wanted for her son. And then verse 3, do not give strength to women, nor your ways to which destroys kings. This is a warning. We see a couple of these in 3 and 4. Strange women. It's talking about, not to more than your wife. So, which intercedes on how they serve God. We see that with Solomon, having so many wives and concubines that, he was led different directions by some of those, and not totally serving God in the way that God intended. And then, so that's where she's just, giving, she's giving to God, and she wants him to give God glory with his life. In verse 4, it is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes intoxicating drink, lest they drink and forget the law and pervert the justice of all the afflicted. So again, a warning against strong drink. It's no place for the king, or even for us, I believe, to be as being a person that used to drink. Sometimes it give me the wrong wisdom on the outlook of life. I didn't have that godly wisdom. I had more of a worldly wisdom, and that's I think that's a warning here, that it doesn't lead to good decisions. It's then it's harder to lead others if we are slaves to these sins ourselves. So we can't be a very good witness if this is a problem in our lives, either one of these, with strange women or sobriety. So, but in 5 she says, lest they drink and forget the law, it's verse 6, I'm sorry. Give strong drink to those who are perishing, and wine to those with a bitter heart. This is talking about, like in Timothy, not much wine. It was used for medicinal purposes as well, for an upset stomach. Because even though it was mixed with the water there, it was still more pure than the straight water. So, that's what she's giving, use it to those who are sickly, or, I read in one of my commentaries, bitter heart. That talks about maybe people back then that was facing death row, and things like that. So it was for, and then verse 7 it goes, let him drink, forget not his poverty, and remember his misery no more. And, this is, again, for folks that may need it, I guess, but I would say never strong drink anyway, just enough to like make the stomach better, or what it may be. Then 8 and 9 says, open your mouth for the speechless in the cause of all who are appointed to die. Open your mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and the needy. So, this was her response to the king. And, we can use this a little bit to ourselves, we got to pray or plead, if folks can't speak for themselves or need help with that, then, we could definitely help with that. We can pray for them, especially. And I know, there's always, I've used legislatures to get treatments that I need going through my cancer. They didn't want to do certain tests, and, so I've used the authority to help that situation, so this is kind of things like that. There's times that we can use these folks. And now we get into verse 10 through the rest of the chapter, and we're talking about the virtuous wife, or the virtuous woman, or mom. They all fit the criteria pretty well. And it says, who can find a virtuous wife? For her worth is far above rubies. The design, virtuous wife, that equals strength. For her worth is above rubies. I'm going to say any jewel of the earth. Gold, silver, she's more valuable than the things that we see in the world. And I know it took a long while in my life to realize that of my mom. Maybe when I got older and started rededicated my life to the Lord, and that I really knew the sacrifices that she made for her husband and myself. And I'll share a little bit about that at the end of testimony. And that the heart of her husband safely trusts her. There's none of that. He knows that everything that's taking place at the home front's being, that she'll have no lack of gain. That everything she's doing is trying to be the best for the family. Another description of the various virtuous wife or mom this is what wives, the women should make, this design. And it's wives that men should choose to be their wife, so it's, that's definitely something to be equally yoked in the Lord, and to raise a family right from start would surmise to myself would be a great thing, and that didn't happen so much with my life. It was, again, I'll share in the testimony about my family a little bit at the end. And a good, virtuous woman, a godly woman, she's a woman of spirit, and she controls her own spirit, and then she knows how to manage the spirits of the family, of her husband, the children, even out into the communities, and, she's again, there's no, lack of trust for the husbands with her, and that means as well as the look, he doesn't have to worry about her carousing around, faithful, and just a great ease that she brings her husband. And that another, I read in my content not to pick our wives and on just by being happy or wealthy, well-known, dressing well, good dancer, or of course we all didn't do that. We all picked by beauty. So, but that's it's the heart, it's the godly lady, and the virtuous wife should be the one we choose, over, how well dressed or what lineage they come from, So, but I'm sure that's we done at the time, right? That's what God gave us, our wife, and I'm grateful for mine, and we've had a great family, and I'm glad that they all know the Lord now, and that's just an awesome thing, and I can praise Him for that. Yeah, verse 12, we'll go on to that. She does him good and not evil all the days of his life. Her work with her hands is taking care of the family, food, dress, using resources well, and not wasting anything. He is so happy in her that he envies her, not those who must have most of the wealth in the world. He needs it not, because he knows his wife is doing everything she can. This is, as we go into the next few verses, she's making clothing, the wool and the flax, and willing to work with her hands. She's taking care of those things. She's making the very best clothes out of the very, very best garments, and doing it inexpensively, and get some of the best clothes you could have. And I know a lot of our wives have done that, made clothes for our children and things, so that's a great virtue. And then that was part of in the verse 13 as well, willing to work with her hands. She's like the merchant ship. She brings food from afar. She gathers. She goes the extra mile to get the good food. The very best for her family at the best prices. Maybe even gleaning some of it along the way. And she brings all that's needed and sufficient for her family. She can make things cheaper and better, and can buy that you can buy, and then and searching long for what is the best for her family. So all that goes into what our mom's done, and what our wives do for our children, and they're just, that's why it's worth the time when we go shopping. I mean, if you know, we do the best we can do with our dollars, and, you know, that's a great attribute. She also rises while it is yet night, provides food for her household. Especially, I can remember when kids were younger, you know, mom's up, getting dinner pails ready and children ready for school, lunches packed, breakfast. And sometimes that starts long before the daylight, because they got their day, if they're not going to work now, they're got their day to plan as well. So, you know, long days for our moms. And of course on this one it says a portion for our maidservants. You know, back then they were at home and they had some servants that helped, and so, but she was up and made sure they had food as well and ready for their day, so they could work and do their jobs for them as well. Verse 16, she considers a field and buys it. For her profits, she plants a vineyard. For us nowadays, that may be, you know, that she works a garden. You know, she does the things in there that need to be done, maybe, you know, especially when it gets to the taking care of the canning, the, you know, picking even, and helping and all of that. So, you know, she's profitable in what she does. You know, she always willing to work, always willing to make the better for her husband and for her family. And then verse 17, she girds herself with strength, strengthens her arms. That means that she's not scared for hard labor. You know, she's out there doing some of those things. It's 5-gallon pail full of anything is pretty heavy. If you're lugging it back to the home, you know. And so they are not scared to roll up their sleeves and help out in that way. And she perceives that her merchandise is good and her lamp does not go out by night. So after a long hard day, this verse 18, you know, she sees what she's done, and she always makes extra, you know, so she sells to the merchants of this fine clothing. We'll see about the, you know, purple and scarlet a little later on, but those was definitely royalty had. You know, great, and she done the very best with those, and then leftovers she could sell to the merchants, and providing income for the family, and with the food as well, leftovers, and verse 19, she stretches out her hands to the distaff, and her hands hold the spindle. This is making her own yarn and cloth and string and things like this, you know. I know we get some folks here in that church that like to do the spinning, and this was a time that she done at night, getting these things ready. So, you know, working late at night after, you know, the long day she's had already, still preparing for the next day. And again, her goods, her things are good. She does a great job, you know, so anybody's proud to have them, wear them, or buy them. You know, and we all, I know us here, like my wife and I, you know, with the fiddleheads and her making Christmas wreaths, you know, that's I would say that's kind of the merchandise edging part that we do in our life, you know, and then both couples work and have to, you know, and so it's all, we all have our parts, but I still think Mom gets overworked a lot of times, because we kind of let it happen that way, maybe. And that's probably not a good thing for us to do. We probably could change that some. All right, 21, let's see, 22, she extends her hand to the poor. 20, I'm sorry. She extends her hand to the poor. Yes, she reaches out her hands to the needy. So always looking around to see what's going on around, and I'm sure when it goes to the planning, to the things she makes, that those folks, she shares those with, the extra food that she has and some of the extra clothing and things. She's always looking for the needy to help those out, which is, when I give Mom's testimony towards the end, I want to give towards my mom. I see her doing that well with her life. And she's not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household is clothed with a scarlet. And that means when it gets cold weather that they have the clothes they need. For that, she's not worried when they go out. The husband goes out into the field to go to work, that he's got out to his kingdom, whatever he has the very best. She won't have to worry about them being cold while they're out there. And so as a king, I'm sure he wasn't out in the field much, but he was in his palace or doing. But with us, it may be, whatever, that we have the right clothes to do that. She makes tapestry for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. These last two verses, we see the scarlet and purple royalty. She makes her own inside tapestries for the coverings, and I would guess tapestries, you ladies know more about tapestries than I do, I guess. So, she's doing all of this as well as keeping up with the daily needs. Then her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them and supplies sashes to the merchants. 23 and 24. So I'm thinking her husband stands out in these nice garments she makes him. He's known when he's come, sits among the elders of the land, while he's in his palace. Then she, again, makes extra, sells the supplies and the sashes to the merchants. Strength and honor are her clothing. She shall rejoice in the time to come. 25. Strength and honor is the character of the woman who fears the Lord. Her inward clothing, her heart, displays divine wisdom and her confidence in to face the future with its unexpectedness. So that's her strength and her honor. She has that for her clothing, that she's done her best, for what God has given her, and even looking for the future unexpected challenges. So she's always planning for the future as well. And that's a great attribute. We can't just live for today. But we also are not guaranteed much time beyond this second right now. So but we need to be prepared as well to take care of maybe some for our, if we pass, for our family members, and help with different things in life. So definitely got to have a savings, and she's good with this. She's planned for it, and again, that helps. The husband, he's probably thinking about it, planning too as well, but she's already putting this into practice with the extra money she's making from selling to the merchants. And so verse 26, she opens her mouth with wisdom, with the law of kindness, and she opens her mouth with wisdom, and on her tongue is the law of kindness. So she's teaching wisdom in God's word. In this case it was the law, and then it's tempered with that mercy, or today we seasoned with salt. It has she knows God's way, and she has the right way to present it. It's not turn to burn. You know, it's what people need. You know, she's seasoned with that grace, so that's a great attribute to have as well. She watches over the ways of the household and does not eat the bread of idleness. You know, and that's a warning for men back in Proverbs a little bit, you know, about the sluggard or the, you know, the lazy man, you know, not, you don't eat, you don't work, you don't eat, you know, kind of thing. And she doesn't have this problem. She's continuously watching her ways, making sure everything's taken care of for the household, and does not eat the bread of idleness. She doesn't get, you know, probably didn't have the TV to turn on. In my little footnotes there, it says she didn't strike up a game of cards in the evening. But, you know, she was always planning on what was best for the family and things like that. So, and then in 28, her children rise up and call her blessed, and her husband also, and he praises her. And this is, I wrote in this out of my corner, woman who fears the Lord, and in her word choosing or heart displays divine wisdom, giving confidence to face the future unexpected. You know, I'm sorry, that was verse 28. I'm back up. That's why I'm not a trained professional. But I'm doing what I like to do. I love to fill in, and I really want this to be honor and glorifying to our moms and our wives. And so I just, the way I stumble through it, I just hope that the Holy Spirit straightens it all out for you folks, and because we do appreciate what our moms and wives do for each and every day. But this is being greatly respected. You know, children rise up and call her blessed, and her husband also praises her. You know, giving thanks. There's no better joy for a mother to be praised from her children when they grow up. To praise her as a source of the wisdom that made them godly, or to lead them to salvation of the family, you know. And that's, again, I'll share with my mom was a great influence on that as well. So, you know, she taught them, you know, and children, sometimes I know I had to grow up quite a while before I realized my dad knew anything, you know, and sometimes we're that way, and but I do thank God for both my parents, you know. But my mom, she must have read this one right after she got saved, because I see where it changed her life, and a lot of these attributes she had. And again, I'll share those with you folks later. It says 29, many daughters have done well, but you excel them all. There's like I said, there's lots of ladies and daughters out there, but our moms chose for us, our wife who chose for us, that's the right one. You know, they excel them all, so we need to treat them like that, and respect them like that, and because we do thank God so much for them. Then verse 30, charm is deceitful and beauty is passing, but a woman who fears the Lord shall be praised. And yeah, sometimes as we get older, we can see that our faces change a little bit, and you know, it does pass. But fearing God and living for God shall always be praised. She will, for that, and us as fellows too. You know, we don't get any prettier the older we get, I'm sure. So, and verse 31 is, give her the fruit of your hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. the fruit, while she receives material reward. You know, back in verse 22, we read that, you know, tapestry, fine clothing, purple, you know, the praise and success she labored to bring her family and community will be her praise. And then that's the results of her efforts, and is her best eulogy. You know, and this is, for her faithfulness, God's blessed her mightily, you know, through her life, doing her very best, you know, not wasting anything, you know, using everything to help family, friends, community, the poor, the needy, and then even leftover good stuff to sell, you know, so God blesses her, you know, blessed her with this material. You know, she went long ways to get it, to the merchant ships. I don't know just how far that was, but it talks about going long distances. And of course, our long distances are long now, but we have better methods to get there. So I just, again, want to thank God for our moms, and say I'd like to give I gave a testimony before, but I'd like to take a few minutes to just recap my mom. You know, I can remember vaguely, I can remember when she wasn't saved. I'm going to say it was 55 years ago she probably got saved. And there was an instant change I noticed then in her life. You know, God grabbed her and ran with her. You know, and she was willing to go. I mean, she taught school. And I see that, I mean, kids that didn't have things she bought for. You know, she always took care of the kids. Parties for everything. Every holiday, for every birthday, you know, when they went to ball game trips, bought food for kids that couldn't, you know, and I see her just doing that, and then, you know, still coming home, have to correct papers half the night, you know, working late at night, being a teacher. Some of you folks, our teachers, know that process, and then still trying to take care of the homely things as well, you know, work really hard at it. And I was afraid at that time that my father and I weren't much of a help. We kind of teased her and ridiculed her some, and you know, tried to get her to lead away from God a little bit. I know Sundays she was really dedicated to God. We used to have family meetings, lunches up to my grams. She'd always come, but we'd have a card game in the afternoon. No way would we get Mom to play. You needed 4 to play our game. Sometimes we played 3 because she wouldn't vary. You know, I don't know. That was something she felt strong with, and but then later on, she always, you know, I was saved at probably 10 or 11. I can't quite remember the year. It was right again over here to the Masonic Hall. They had a speaker here, and I went to church off and on all the way through those periods. But every time I see my mom, she was encouraging me to come to church, you know, and I'd always give her, "I'll come when I'm ready," and you know, all of that, and but she never gave up praying, she never gave up asking, and with my dad as well. And of course my dad, praise God that, you know, he got saved just before he passed away. So that was because of her faithful witness and right to the end, you know, making sure. And I remember her mom, her leading her to the Lord. Again, she had pancreatic cancer and was in Lincoln. And I don't know, she was there a month, my grandma was, and during that time she come to know the Lord. So I was big on my mom's heart to make sure her family was ready to go be with the Lord. And when I got married, she was, because I wasn't back in church then, or best, you know, 4 or 5 times a year, and so she got my wife, and I think they went to some ladies' Bible studies, and she helped lead her to the Lord, and then both my children, she was influential in that, and so then I just thank God for a godly mom. I would never, you know, 55 years, she never gave up on her family. You know, always witnessing and encouraging us. And again, with us not making it real easy at times, so I just, I thank God. It's the same as she taught Sunday schools, she played the organ, she loved the Lord, she still loves the Lord, and she just can't serve Him in that capacity anymore, and but I know God richly blessed her, and I just thank Him so much for her, and I just wanted to share that with you folks today, that as I look through this, I see a lot of those attributes in her, and so I just, again, thank you. And there's a couple of announcements I'd like to make before we close in prayer. Again, tithing, if you get a chance to do that, Linda Doan, Post Office Box 12. And then if you'd like, we'll get a little restoration project we want to do at the bathroom at the parsonage. New fixtures and maybe some sheetrock work and things like that. So if you felt led, you could give to the building fund. That would go to Linda as well. And we don't really know the exact dollars yet, but if you could help in this way, it'd be greatly appreciated. Alrighty, now let's close in a word of prayer, and I'm going to encourage you folks to get a hold of your moms and wish them a happy Mother's Day, and maybe a flower or something, however you feel glad you could do that. Would be just a great time to touch in with Mom. So, dear Heavenly Father, just thank you so much for your word. Lord, we thank you for the attributes of a godly mother and a godly wife, and the influence they have on the family. How they're making sure that things are taken care of on the home front. And Lord, I just thank you so much for that. And Lord, I just pray that you'd bless them, you'd strengthen them in you, and just draw us all closer to you, Lord, because that's what we are to you. We're your bride, and you're the groom, Lord, and you're preparing that for our future, and Lord, we just pray that would be our work here on earth, that we're doing what we can with our goods, with our needs, to help our families, our communities, missionaries, and to help spread your commission, the Great Commission, throughout the world, that Jesus Christ died, risen, and is coming again. And so, Lord, we just pray that we'll never forget that in our lives and our walks for you, and we continue to grow in that walk for you each and every day. So I just thank you for this opportunity and this time, and it's through your precious Son we pray. Amen.